Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be discussing a couple of differences that I feel like I have between my elementary school and my middle school. So a quick little disclaimer, these are the differences that I'm finding, and while some may apply, some may not. Of course, every school district is different, every state is different, so what I experience may not be what you experience in your district or in your schools. But one of the first things that to me, I feel like it's kind of obvious, but also something to keep in mind, especially if you are traveling around with testing kids, is the age of the students. So for example, like if I am giving the BASC, there's the preschool age, which is 2 to 5, and then I think it goes from 6 to 11, and that's child age, and then it goes from 12 up to 21, and that's adolescence. But the thing is, some of those are going to go in my elementary, even though it says preschool. There are some kids that I have to test that are 5 years old. They're going to get the preschool one. There are some kids that are 6, some that are 10, so they need the 6 to 11 one. So then you would think, oh, middle school adolescents at 12. No, I have a handful of kids that are 11 and I have a handful that are 12 and older. So I have to bring the child one and the adolescence one. So you definitely want to pay attention to the age of the kids. Also, this might just be a thing in my district, but so I can print for free at both schools. They go, like, it'll have a price on it, but that's just, I guess, for downtown to keep track of how much they're spending on my printing. But at the middle school, I have paper, like I can just go in and print. The elementary school, we can print, but we have to have our own paper. So that was different and not what I expected, but that's something you might have to ask about too. Like, do some of your schools provide printer and paper? Do some not? You probably want to know. And with COVID times, things are different. Like sometimes they want just a virtual copy. Like that's all that was happening during quarantine. So if your school's all virtual, you might only have to put it online. If you're in person, you're gonna have to probably have the physical copy. So just something to keep in mind when you're in the schools. Another difference is there's more, now this is for me, it might not be everywhere, but there's more initials in elementary school and more revals in middle school. So of course I have some initials in middle school where they've just been having trouble throughout school. They want to see how they can better help a child. But a lot of them are either in the middle school from out of state and we're doing a reevaluation, just to see if what they found there is still gonna apply here. And also we have a lot of just revals in general, like they might have been diagnosed in 5th grade, 3 years later they need it updated again. While the elementary school, that's where they're just starting to learn. So if they see, oh, maybe they're learning slower than other kids, let's check this out. That's an initial evaluation. Another difference, elementary school, mostly in one class. They might have their different times that they change. So like they go to art and they go to music, but they have their main class. While middle school, like my middle school, there's odd and even days, and then there's 4 different periods, and depending on the grade, their lunch is gonna be different. So if you're trying to test a kid, it's not just you ask the main teacher they have first period. It's what time am I getting the kid? I need to make sure that they know for each of these periods, depending how long it's gonna take me. Also in the elementary school, the tests, now not always, but they tend to be shorter just because they're younger, so they're not going to get, all the way to the end. Now, I said sometimes because if you have a very gifted kid, they might go all the way to the end past where a typical 12th grader would go. And also, even if they don't, some kids, if they're super distracted, what may have taken 60 minutes is now taking 3 hours over the course of like 4 different days, because they need a bunch of breaks and stuff like that. So you have to keep that in mind. While middle school, tends to be longer if they get further. But again, that really varies and depends on the child themselves, regardless of if they're in elementary school, middle school, high school. The times will vary for how long you're testing them. Something to keep in mind that I didn't even know about coming from Pennsylvania is developmental delay. So that's something that they can have here in Virginia up until age 7, and then you need to get rid of the diagnosis or find a new criteria that they meet for something else. And in Pennsylvania, we didn't learn about developmental delay. So that's obviously something that would happen in elementary school. You're not going to say a kid has developmental delay in middle school if you have to get rid of it by the time they are aged 7. So something to keep in mind are the different types of diagnoses that you can use for a kid. Even for ADHD, for example, you usually don't want to say a kid that's in elementary school super young has ADHD, because it could just be that they're adjusting to school. And if it continues on as they get older, that's when you tend to be like, okay, now I see they are still, hyperactive and attentive, all of that. So compared to if you saw a middle schooler acting that way, they should be well beyond that age of when you're worried, like, am I diagnosing them too soon? So something else to keep in mind. All right, so that is what I have today when I was thinking of what are some of the differences between my elementary school and my middle school. I do feel like they are two different worlds when I am there, even when it comes to doing crisis and stuff, which do not think that if you were in elementary school, you're not gonna have suicide crises to attend to, because in elementary school you still do. But I just feel like it's a very different climate and environment, and everything's set up different. So between elementary, middle, and high school, they are all very different. I personally think that everyone should try them all, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I really only want to be in elementary, or oh, I really want to be in a middle school, high school, etc., but they only worked with that age range. So I feel like you should try all the age ranges and then see if you still feel that same way. Because I know when I was in internship, I was thinking, I want elementary school, and then they gave me a high school and I was scared. And I love high school now. Like, I want a high school right now. They're my favorite. But if I would have held on to that, oh, well, I only want to work with younger kids, I wouldn't have known how much I like working with older kids as well. But all right, enough stalling, because that was not the point of the video today. But I do hope that you enjoy, and if you have different experiences between the different grade levels that you worked in, please feel free to share your story down below. I would love to read it. But I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, night, evening, wherever you are and whatever you're doing in the world. Bye, guys.